Well, this was an interesting week with AMD's earnings call and a new game in the Horizon universe. First of all, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as this helps me a lot to create content like this. Thank you. So, today we are going to talk about Project Magnus. Well, before we begin, let's clarify the name Project Magnus. There is some confusion regarding the name because some have suggested that it could be the code name for the new Xbox. But it is really the name assigned by AMD to the chip that they are developing for Microsoft. That's why in reality nobody knows the code name of the new Xbox yet, but without a doubt, Magnus is not it. What we really know are some leaks that surfaced a few months ago through the YouTuber and insider Morelaw is Dead, whom I recommend you follow because he has an incredible record of information. Then it was shared by Zubitech on X, another source that I also recommend you follow if you want to stay up to date with all the latest technology and console news. In this post, it is easier to understand the potential of the console because it is described in a way that is easier for those less knowledgeable in terms of specifications. Based on the comparisons already made and the information we know so far, theoretically the Xbox will be more powerful than the next PlayStation 6. Which doesn't always correspond to better performance, as Sony has proven in this generation that less is more. Based on the specifications, the console promises to be a true monster, but it will probably have a crazy price, especially with the current crisis in memory prices. Some are predicting a price between €1,000 and €1,500, which could shatter previous console prices. The concept of a console is quite different. It's a device that allows for high-quality gaming at a more attractive price. Now, this is where we might be talking about something different. Apparently, the next Xbox console or not may be another dedicated PC hybrid, judging by all the information available. The device will provide access to other game stores like the Epic Store or even Steam, and of course, Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass service, which could be interesting for most gamers. According to AMD director Lisa Su on an earnings call, she said, "Development of Microsoft's next-gen Xbox, featuring an AMD semi-custom SoC, is progressing well to support a launch in 2027. AMD is responsible for producing the chip, so the 2027 date remains a possibility for Microsoft. Although an announcement could be made in 2026 or, at worst, early 2027. We must also remember that Valve, owner of the Steam store, had scheduled the launch of its hybrid PC Steam machine dedicated to gaming for early 2026. But this will likely also be delayed due to memory prices and shortages. Some experts predict it could cost around €800, contrary to the expected price of around €500. So, if these prices are confirmed, these two machines may be too expensive for most consumers and have low adoption rates, as most people don't intend to spend so much on a console, even a hybrid one. They will certainly have to find a much more attractive price to attract consumers. This is where the PlayStation 6 could come in. According to information circulating on the internet, the console may be scheduled for 2028. Although some say it may only come out in 2029 or even 2030, I highly doubt that will happen, as that would theoretically be a 3-year difference from the Microsoft console's launch. What is very likely to happen is that the next PlayStation will come with a more attractive price between €500 and €600, which could be a great weapon for PlayStation in the next generation. It's also said that both Microsoft and Valve may be entering a different segment, ceasing to be competitors of PlayStation, and trying to fight for a new space in the gaming world. Indeed, Microsoft seems more interested in selling its services, as it tried to do throughout the current generation, where consoles weren't the focus, at least in terms of support. There's also talk and leaks have circulated that Microsoft wants to implement Windows on these devices. On the other hand, Valve only wants to provide a dedicated solution for gamers, then monetize it with peripherals, such as the new controller and a new VR set. So in the end, we gamers will have other types of solutions. The question is, will you buy a hybrid console, PC, or opt for a more conventional and accessible console? Well, time will tell, but without a doubt, we will have an interesting next generation, and I'm curious to see what bet Microsoft will present with the new Xbox. So what I honestly hope the Microsoft console has is the ability to run games at 4K with 60 FPS without having to choose between graphics or performance modes. Good ray tracing capabilities. Another feature I personally think is missing from the current Xbox is the inability to stream directly to YouTube channels. And lastly, more complete customization of our game library. In the new PlayStation, I hope the themes return, as it was something I loved in the PlayStation 4 generation. I also want to be able to play in 4K and at 60 FPS without having to choose one of the two. I hope that PlayStation finally achieves the much-desired backward compatibility with previous generations, because the PlayStation game legacy is enormous and this would add immense value to the console and drive fans crazy. One thing I'd like to see improved is the streaming, which doesn't allow for 4K. But in the end, what we want are excellent games for both consoles. So, what are your expectations for the next generation consoles, both in terms of specifications and price or release dates? Leave your ideas in the comments. And thanks for watching.